Welcome to Not a Mechanic, where I try to decipher all the complex systems of a large boat. In a previous video, I replaced a 10-year-old pump with a new one I understood to be the most similar model to what we had. I discovered the manufacturer would really prefer that I spend a little more money to get this pump to run as well as the 10-year-old pump. Oh well, on the bright side, you get another video and I get to put in a new accumulator tank. So let's get started. A little more background. The new pump is a fixed speed pump rather than variable speed. If you've got a fixed speed that's cycling and pulsating quite a bit, that's a good indication an accumulator tank might be a good way to go. The tank installs on the output side of the water pump. It uses an air bladder to hold pressure on a small volume of water that goes out to your faucets. Instead of the pump being on demand for every faucet and shower, now all it has to do is occasionally fill the accumulator. This reduces the workload of your pump and smooths out the water flow from your faucets. I started with white Teflon tape, but I switched to something else I'll show you later in the video. The pressure in the accumulator tank is preset from the factory at 12 psi, but it needs to be adjusted. The consensus is to look up the specs on your pump and look for the shut-in pressure, and then set your accumulator 2 to 3 psi below that shut-in pressure. I'm using an electric air pump here, but you could also just use a bicycle tire pump as long as you have a decent gauge. I picked a location close to the pump and convenient for splicing into the water lines already here. Can't forget to shut off power to the water pump. I also shut off the water supply, but there's going to be some residual water in this line when we splice it, so I've got a catch tray underneath there for that. This surface is some kind of marine backer board. We won't be using these drill holes anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and throw a little 5200 sealant into these holes just to keep water from penetrating too much into that. The old spliced water line wasn't sealing very well, so I went ahead and replaced it with this new line. It worked as designed, but had a slight leak that was difficult to get rid of. A consult with another marine service guy indicated that this hose barb adapter was non-tapered and probably should have been, so we looked for an alternative. I switched to this gray PVC part that seemed to have a better fit. I also switched to this mega tape, which is more common by professionals than the old standard white Teflon tape. And finally, the hard work paid off. No leaks, and I've got it properly labeled. I also wrote my set pressure on a piece of blue tape here, because occasionally you'll have to check that Schrader valve for the right pressure setting. Thanks for watching. I'm not a mechanic.